Welcome friends to another session on mathematical modeling. We will start with our discussions on mathematical modeling in biology in this session. Diabetes models. We will discuss in detail a model for the detection of diabetes mellitus after a small introduction on mathematical biology. Biology is one of the most rapidly expanding and diverse areas in the sciences. The problems encountered in biology are frequently complex and often not totally understood. Mathematical models provide a means to better understand the processes and unravel some of the complexities. This gives a natural synergistic relationship between the two fields as research expands in the future. The mathematical tools provides ways for developing a better qualitative and quantitative understanding of some biological problems, while the biological problems often stretch the techniques that mathematicians must use to find solutions. A mathematical model is a representation of a real system. The essence of a good mathematical model is that it is simple in design and exhibits the basic properties of the real system that we are attempting to understand. The model should be testable against empirical data. The comparisons of the model to the real system should ideally lead to improved mathematical models. The model may suggest improved experiments to highlight a particular aspect of the problem, which in turn may improve the collection of data. Thus, modeling itself is an evolutionary process which continues toward learning more about certain processes rather than finding an absolute reality. An ongoing example of the modeling process is provided by diabetes mellitus. A model for the detection of diabetes. Diabetes mellitus is a disease of metabolism which is characterized by too much sugar in the blood and urine. In diabetes, the body is unable to burn off all its sugars, starches and carbohydrates because of an insufficient supply of insulin. Diabetes is usually diagnosed by means of a glucose tolerance test, that is GTT. In this test, the patient comes to the hospital after an overnight fast and is given a large dose of glucose, that is the sugar in the form in which it usually appears in the bloodstream. During the next 3 to 5 hours, several measurements are made of the concentration of glucose in the patient's blood, and these measurements are used in the diagnosis of diabetes. A very serious difficulty associated with this method of diagnosis is that no universally accepted criterion exists for interpreting the results of glucose tolerance test. 3 physicians interpreting the results of GTT may come up with 3 different diagnoses. In the mid-1960s, Drs. Roseware and Molnar of the Mayo Clinic and Drs. Ackerman and Gatewood of the University of Minnesota discovered a fairly reliable criterion for interpreting the results of a glucose tolerance test. Their discovery arose from a very simple model they developed for the blood glucose regulatory system. Their model is based on the following simple and fairly well-known facts of elementary biology. First one, glucose plays an important role in the metabolism of any vertebrate since it is a source of energy for all tissues and organs. For each individual, there is an optimal blood glucose concentration, and any excessive deviation from this optimal concentration leads to severe pathological conditions and potentially death. Second one, while blood glucose levels tend to be autoregulatory, they are also influenced and controlled by a wide variety of hormones and other metabolites. Among these are the following: insulin, a hormone secreted by the beta cells of the pancreas. After we eat any carbohydrates, our gastrointestinal tract sends a signal to the pancreas to secrete more insulin. In addition, the glucose in our blood directly stimulates the beta cells of the pancreas to secrete insulin. It is generally believed that insulin facilitates tissue uptake of glucose by attaching itself to the impermeable membrane walls, thus allowing glucose to pass through the membranes to the center of the cells where most of the biological and chemical activity takes place. Without sufficient insulin, the body cannot avail itself of all the energy it needs. Glucagon, a hormone secreted by the alpha cells of the pancreas. Any excess glucose is stored in the liver in the form of glycogen. in times of need, this glycogen is converted back into glucose. The hormone glucagon increases the rate of breakdown of glycogen into glucose. Evidence collected thus far clearly indicates that hypoglycemia or low blood sugar and fasting promote the secretion of glucagon, while increased blood glucose levels suppress its secretion. Epinephrine or adrenaline, a hormone secreted by the adrenal medulla. Epinephrine is a part of an emergency mechanism to quickly increase the concentration of glucose in the blood in times of extreme hypoglycemia. Like glucagon, epinephrine increases the rate of breakdown of glycogen into glucose. In addition, it directly inhibits glucose uptake by muscle tissue. It acts directly on the pancreas to inhibit insulin secretion, and it aids in the conversion of lactate to glucose in the liver. Glucocorticoids, hormones such as cortisol, which are secreted by adrenal cortex. Glucocorticoids play an important role in the metabolism of carbohydrates. Thyroxine, a hormone secreted by the thyroid gland. This hormone aids the liver in forming glucose from non-carbohydrate sources such as glycerol, lactate and amino acids. Growth hormone, also called somatotropin, a hormone secreted by the anterior pituitary gland. Not only does growth hormone affect glucose levels in a direct manner, but it also tends to block insulin. It is believed that growth hormone decreases the sensitivity of muscle and adipose membrane to insulin, thereby reducing the effectiveness of insulin in promoting glucose uptake. The aim of Ackerman et al. Was to construct a model which would accurately describe the blood glucose regulatory system during a glucose tolerance test, and in which one or two parameters would yield criteria for distinguishing normal individuals from mild diabetes and pre-diabetics. Their model is a very simplified one, requiring only a limited number of blood samples during GTT. It centers attention on two concentrations, that of glucose in the blood labeled capital G and that of the net hormonal concentration labeled capital H. The latter is interpreted to represent the cumulative effect of all the pertinent hormones. These hormones such as insulin, which decrease blood glucose concentrations, are considered to increase H, while those hormones such as cortisol, which increase blood glucose concentrations, are considered to decrease H. Now, there are two reasons why such a simplified model can still provide an accurate description of blood glucose regulatory system. First, studies have shown that under normal or close to normal conditions, the interaction of one hormone, namely insulin, with blood glucose predominates, that a simple lumped parameter model is quite adequate. Second, evidence indicates that normoglycemia does not necessarily depends on the normalcy of each kinetic mechanism of blood glucose regulatory system. Rather, it depends on the overall performance of the blood glucose regulatory system, and this system is dominated by insulin glucose interactions. Model development. The basic model is described analytically by the equations dG by dt is equal to f1 of gh plus j of t, and dH by dt is equal to f2 of gh. The dependence of f1 and f2 on g and h signify that changes in g and h are determined by the values of both g and h. The function j of t is the external rate at which the blood glucose concentration is being increased. We assume that G and H have achieved optimal values G naught and H naught by the time the fasting patient has arrived at the hospital. This implies that f1 of G naught H naught is equal to 0 and f2 of G naught H naught is equal to 0. Since we are interested here in the deviations of G and H from their optimal values, we make the substitution small g is equal to capital G minus G naught and small h is equal to capital H minus H naught. then d small g by dt is equal to f1 of g naught plus g h naught plus h plus j of t, and d small h by dt is equal to f2 of g naught plus g h naught plus h. Now, observe that f1 of g naught plus g h naught plus h is equal to f1 of g naught h naught plus dou f1 of g naught h naught by dou g into small g plus dou f1 of g naught h naught by dou h into small h plus E1, and f2 of g naught plus g h naught plus h is equal to f2 of g naught h naught plus dou f2 of g naught h naught by dou g into small g plus dou f2 g naught h naught by dou h into small h plus E2, where E1 and E2 are very small compared to small g and small h. Hence, assuming that g and h deviate only slightly from g naught and h naught, and therefore neglecting the terms E1 and E2, we see that dg by dt is equal to dou f1 g dot h dot by dou g into small g plus dou f1 of g naught h naught by dou h into small h plus j of t, and dh by dt is equal to dou f2 of g naught h naught by dou g into small g plus dou f2 of g naught h naught by dou h into small h. No means exist of determining a priori the numbers dou f1 of g naught h naught by dou g, dou f1 of g naught h naught by dou h, dou f2 of g naught h naught by dou g, and dou f2 of g naught h naught by dou h. However, we can determine their signs. In figure 1, you can see the simplified model of blood glucose regulatory system. Referring to this figure, we see that dg by dt is negative for g greater than 0 and h is equal to 0, since the blood glucose concentration will be decreasing through tissue uptake of glucose and the storing of excess glucose in the liver in the form of glucogen. Consequently, dou f1 of g naught h naught by dou g must be negative. Similarly, dou f1 of g naught h naught by dou h is negative, since a positive value of h tends to decrease blood glucose levels by facilitating tissue uptake of glucose and by increasing the rate at which glucose is converted to glycogen. The number dou f2 of g naught h naught by dou g must be positive, since a positive value of g causes the endocrine glands to secrete those hormones which tend to increase h. Finally, dou f2 of g naught h naught by dou h must be negative, since the concentration of hormones in the blood decreases through hormone metabolism. Thus, we can write equations 3 and equation 4 in the form dg by dt is equal to minus m1 into g minus m2 into h plus j of t, and dh by dt is equal to minus m3 into h plus m4 into g, where m1, m2, m3 and m4 are positive constants. Equations 5 and 6 are two first order differential equations for g and h. However, since we only measure the concentration of glucose in the blood, we would like to remove the variable h. This can be accomplished as follows. Differentiating equation 5 with respect to t gives d square g by dt square is equal to minus m1 into dg by dt minus m2 into dh by dt plus dj by dt. Substituting for dh by dt from equation 6, we obtain that d square g by dt square is equal to minus m1 into dg by dt minus m2 into m3 into h minus m2 into m4 into g plus dj by dt. Next, observe from equation 5 that m2h is equal to minus dg by dt minus m1 into g plus j of t. Consequently, g of t satisfies the second order linear differential equation d square g by dt square plus m1 plus m3 into dg by dt plus m2 into m3 plus m2 into m4 into g is equal to m3j plus dj by dt. We rewrite this equation in the form d square g by dt square plus 2 alpha into dg by dt plus omega naught square g is equal to s of t, where alpha is equal to m1 plus m3 by 2, omega naught square is equal to m1 m3 plus m2 m4, and s of t is equal to m3j plus dj by dt. Notice that the right side of the equation 8 is identically 0 except for a very short time interval in which the glucose load is being ingested. Such functions can be dealt with very effectively by introducing the Dirac delta function. Now, let t equal to 0 be the time at which the glucose load has been completely ingested. Then, for t greater than or equal to 0, g of t satisfies the second order linear homogeneous equation d square g by dt square plus 2 alpha into dg by dt plus omega naught square into g is equal to 0. This equation has positive coefficients. Hence, g of t approaches 0 as t approaches infinity. Thus, our model certainly conforms to reality in predicting that the blood glucose concentration tends to return eventually to its optimal concentration. The solutions g of t of equation 9 are of 3 different types depending as to whether alpha square minus omega naught square is positive, negative or 0. We will assume that alpha square minus omega naught square is negative. The other two cases are treated in a similar manner. If alpha square minus omega naught square is less than 0, then the characteristic equation of equation 9 has complex roots. It is easily verified in this case that every solution g of t of equation 9 is of the form g of t is equal to a into e raised to minus alpha t into cos omega t minus delta, and omega square is equal to omega naught square minus alpha square. Consequently, g of t is equal to g naught plus a e raised to minus alpha t into cos omega t minus delta. Now, equation 11 contains 5 unknowns g naught, a, alpha, omega naught and delta. One way of determining them is as follows. The patient's blood glucose concentration before the glucose load is ingested is g naught. Hence, we can determine g naught by measuring the patient's blood glucose concentration immediately upon his arrival at the hospital. Next, if we take 4 additional measurements G1, G2, G3 and G4 of the patient's blood glucose concentration at times T1, T2, T3 and T4, then we can determine A, alpha, omega naught and delta from the 4 equations. Gj is equal to g naught plus a e raised to minus alpha Tj cos omega Tj minus delta for j equal to 1, 2, 3 and 4. A second and better method of determining a, alpha, omega naught and delta is to take n measurements G1, G2 etc. Gn of the patient's blood glucose concentration at times T1, T2 etc. Tn. Typically, n is 6 or 7. We then find optimal values for G naught, A, alpha, omega naught and delta such that the least square error E is equal to summation j equal to 1 to n Gj minus G naught minus a e raised to minus alpha Tj cos omega Tj minus delta the whole square is minimized. The problem of minimizing E can be solved on a digital computer. This method is preferable to the first method since equation 11 is only an approximate formula for g of t. Consequently, it is possible to find values g naught, a, alpha, omega naught and delta, so that equation 11 is satisfied exactly at 4 points T1, T2, T3 and T4, but yields a poor fit to the data at other times. The second method usually offers a better fit to the data on the entire time interval since it involves more measurements. In numerous experiments, Ackerman et al. Observed that a slight error in measuring G could produce a very large error in the value of alpha. Hence, any criterion for diagnosing diabetes that involves the parameter alpha is unreliable. However, the parameter omega naught, the natural frequency of the system, was relatively insensitive to experimental error in measuring G. Thus, we may regard a value of omega naught as the basic descriptor of response to glucose tolerance test. For discussion purpose, using the corresponding natural period T naught is equal to 2 pi by omega naught is more convenient. The remarkable fact is that data from a variety of sources indicated that a value of less than 4 hours for T naught indicated normalcy, while appreciably more than 4 hours implied mild diabetes. The following points should also be noted. First one, the usual period between meals in our culture is about 4 hours. This suggests the interesting possibility that sociological factors may also play a role in the blood glucose regulatory system. Second one, we wish to emphasize that the model described above can only be used to diagnose mild diabetes or pre-diabetes, since we have assumed throughout that the deviation small g of capital G from its optimal value G naught is small. Very large deviations of G from G naught usually indicate severe diabetes insipidus, which is a disorder of the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. A serious shortcoming of this simplified model is that it sometimes yields a poor fit to the data in the period 3 to 5 hours after ingestion of the glucose load. This indicates that the variables such as epinephrine and glucagon play an important role in this time period. Thus, these variables should be included as separate variables in our model rather than being lumped together with insulin. In fact, evidence indicates that levels of epinephrine may rise dramatically during the recovery phase of the GTT response when glucose levels have been lowered below fasting levels. This can also be seen directly from equation 9. If alpha square minus omega dot square is greater than 0, then G of t may have the form given in figure 2. Note that G of t drops very rapidly from a fairly high value to a negative 1. Quite conceivably, therefore, the body will interpret this as an extreme emergency and thereby secrete a large amount of epinephrine. Medical researchers have long recognized the need of including epinephrine as a separate variable in any model of the blood glucose regulatory system. However, they are stymied by the fact that the concentration of epinephrine in the blood could not be reliably measured. Thus, they had to assume for all practical purposes that the level of epinephrine remained constant during the course of a glucose tolerance test. Before we conclude, let us summarize what we have learned in this session. In this session, we have provided a model for the detection of diabetes mellitus. We have discussed the wide variety of hormones that influences and controls the blood glucose levels. Then we have explained the basic model in detail and also discussed the nature of its solutions. You can try out these problems for the better understanding of the topic discussed in this session. First one, derive the equation G of t is equal to a e raised to minus alpha t into cos omega t minus delta and omega square is equal to omega naught square minus alpha square. Second one, a patient arrives at the hospital after an overnight fast with a blood glucose concentration of 70 milligrams glucose per 100 milliliters of blood. His blood glucose concentration 1 hour, 2 hours and 3 hours after fully absorbing a large amount of glucose is 95, 65 and 65 mg glucose per 100 ml blood respectively. Show that this patient is normal. Hint, show that the time interval between two successive zeros of G minus G naught is 1/2 the natural period. Third problem, consider the equation A G double dash plus B G dash plus C G is equal to 0 with A, B, C positive. Show that every solution of this equation approaches 0 as t approaches infinity. Fourth one, The deviation GT of a patient's blood glucose concentration from its optimal concentration satisfies the differential equation d square g by dt square plus 2 alpha dg by dt plus alpha square g is equal to 0 immediately after he carefully absorbs a large amount of glucose, so that the units of alpha are reciprocal minutes. Show that this patient is a diabetic if we use the criterion of the famous diabetologist. On the other hand, observe that this patient is normal according to Ackerman et al. If alpha is greater than pi by 120 minutes. These are the suggested books for further reading. First one, Modules in Applied Mathematics Volume 1, Differential Equation Models by editors Martin Braun, C.S. Coleman, D.A. Drew, Springer Verlag 1982. Second one, Modules in Applied Mathematics Volume 3, Discrete and System Models by W. F. Lucas, F. S. Roberts, R. M. Thrall, Springer Verlag 1982. Third one, E. Ackerman, L. Gadwood, J. W. Rosevear and G. Molnar, Blood Glucose Regulation and Diabetes in Concepts and Models of Biomathematics, F. Henmates, Edward Marcel Decker in 1969, Chapter 4, pages 131 to 156. And fourth one, E. Ackerman, J. W. Rosevear and W. F. McGuckin, A Mathematical Model of the Glucose Tolerance Test in Physics in Medicine and Biology, Volume 9, pages 202 to 213, 1964. With this, we come to an end of this session. We will continue with mathematical modeling in another session. Till then, goodbye.